Hey guys, before we begin today, I just wanted to make a little announcement. My guild, Absolute Void, we're a Guardian 3 guild on Global. We're currently recruiting. We're looking for about 2 to 3 players that are in the Guardian 1 to Guardian 3 range. Preferably if they could have Guardian 3 guild experience and fighting Guardian 3 guilds. I'm going to be leaving my information down below if you want to contact me, but as far as right now, if you guys have my line is the same name that I use in game, Hipnotyknick, and then I'll go ahead and post my email down below so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But so today I just wanted to do an ultimate guide for Giants, Dragons, and Necro B10. So I did a guide before when I first started playing, maybe about 2 months into the game. I made a Giants and Dragons tutorial. And at that time Necro wasn't around, so I kind of wanted to just make a guide that everyone can use whenever I have to refer someone to using teams for Giants, Dragons, Necro, and I don't have to say go back to my YouTube channel and check out my Giants video or check out my Dragons video. So this guide's going to be the guide that I'm going to refer anyone that asks me when I'm streaming, or if someone asks me for a guide when I'm in a chat or something, I can just refer them to this. So the basic rundown of how I'm going to do this is I'm going to attack Giants first, and then I'm going to attack Dragons, and then I'm going to attack Necro. And to start off, I want to do easier free-to-play teams, or teams that are more obtainable, and then I'm going to move on to faster comps. They require more units, maybe some 4 stars or 5 stars that I use to speed up my teams. And I'm going to go over what I use and why I use it, the mechanics of the dungeon. And then after each dungeon, I'm going to go ahead and show you my units. So I'm going to go over the 3 teams I use for Giants, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over the runes that I use for all the monsters I use in all 3 of those runs. So to start off, Giants is a dungeon that you're going to start off doing as soon as you finish farming the scenarios, and you need to get better runes. You're starting to get more competitive. You want to get higher in TOA. You want to start building stronger units so you can do better in arena. So when making this team that I'm using right now, I'm just going to give you guys a forewarning. About 2 of the units aren't ruined the way they're supposed to be, or maybe not at all. I'm just showing you what can be done and what the team comp that you want to use. So I don't currently use this team. This is a team that I recommend for beginners. This is what I started off with. I didn't have Veramos in the beginning. So as you can see, this is pretty much as free to play of a Giants team as you can get. It's going to be a little hard for you guys to get a hold of the 3 light trios, Amin, Darian, and Bella. For those of you guys who just started, because a lot of people don't have the secret dungeons and people don't want to add you. But when you do get them, this is a great way to start off with running Giants. So basically, in all my dungeons, I don't treat units as like their job. I don't treat them as you need a certain unit to get the job done. I treat it as you need a certain role. So if you look at my current team that I'm using in this run, I have 2 healers in the form of Bella and Amin. I have 3 armor breakers in the form of Bernard, Darian, and Bella. And then I have 2 buffers in the form of Bernard buffing speed, and I have Shannon who buffs attack and defense. So the reason why this team works is, and going back to dungeon mechanics, if you look at the way the boss works, he's going to attack you after every 7 hits. So if you hit him 7 times, on the 7th time, he's going to counterattack you, right? Everything before that is just a stat requirement, getting to the boss. So what you're going to want to do is bring debuffs, and you're going to want to bring buffs. So what Shannon does, her purpose here is she's going to buff the attack, and so you're going to have more damage output. And then she's also going to slow the boss down with her slow, and then she's going to apply glancing hit, which means that the boss is going to hit like a wet noodle. Coupled with Bernard giving you more turns, you're going to you're going to get an attack bar boost, which allows you to attack more frequently, and then he's going to also attack break, right? And what this means is he's going to just make the boss again hit like a wet noodle. Darien is just there to mitigate the damage with his passive, and Amin heals and sometimes provokes, gets the boss to attack him instead. And then Bella armor breaks and heals, again buffs the attack bar. The more turns you're getting with this team means Amin can attack more and buff your and heal your units, right? So the next team I'm going to use, and the reason I use that other team is it's pre-Veramos. It's when you don't have the parts for Veramos, but you're still working on Veramos, right? So you can start attacking giants, whether it's manual or auto, until you get Veramos. But as soon as you start getting Veramos, you're going to want to start moving into using a faster team like the one I'm using right now. So this team I'm using right now is Veramos, Lucian, Bella, Bernard, and Shannon. So Bella, Bernard, and Shannon, they resume their same roles. The only difference now is we have an HP lead in the form of Veramos, and we have a damage dealer in the form of Lucian. Lucian can be replaced with any damage dealer. Maybe you want to use Julian, preferably a Win damage dealer. You can use Acasis, they'll provide more support. There's a ton of units you can use. I prefer Lucian, and the reason why this team works is, again, you're getting more HP with Veramos, you're getting more stuns in, and the dots that Veramos puts in is really nice. As far as giants as a whole, you're going to want to have, like, pretty much all the dungeons have stat requirements, meaning that you're going to want to hit a certain threshold of stats when building your units. So in giants early on, I found that you want to have around 13 to 15k on each of your units. Okay, you're gonna see later on that my Shannon has like no runes on her. I've been using Amin and Shannon as rune holders, so I just put them in here just to show you can do it without having runes on them. I think she has like less than 10k HP, but that's not what you want to go for. I'm pretty sure it's my towers that's helping me out to survive. But what you want to do is get that threshold of HP, right? And I know a lot of people, they look at the builds on the internet and it says like put speed, HP accuracy on Bernard and Shannon. I have to disagree with some of those what do you call that, with some of the suggestions that they give you. I think that accuracy isn't as important as people make it out to be in giants, because you need those stat requirements. You need to survive. None of those debuffs are going to land if your units aren't alive. So you want to make sure you hit that threshold of HP, and then you can start worrying about accuracy and stuff, right? Because what's more important than the debuffs are the buffs that they're putting on you, the speed buff, the attack buff, the defense buff, right? So you want to hit about 15k HP on here. And the final team I'm going to use, this is going to be for experienced players that have the units. And this is a YOLO team. This is really popular in giants once you've acquired the runes and stuff. Okay, so basically I'm using Lucian, Bernard, Sierra, Tesher, and Galleon. Okay, so the way this team works is going to be, you don't care about heals because you're doing so much damage that you don't allow them to get a turn to attack you. So in essence, when people talk about the best defense is a great offense, this is a perfect example, because if you see, I'm killing all these units before they can actually deal any significant damage to my units, because since all these, pretty much other than Bernard, they're really squishy units. They shouldn't be able to survive anything, right? So I'm basically putting out enough damage that when they do hit me, they're hitting me like with one unit at a time, and they're not really cleaving my whole comp, right? So the requirements for this, you're gonna have to put out a significant amount of damage. You're either gonna want to have a speed lead, a crit lead, or an attack lead, and most of your units are gonna have either an AoE They can one-shot the units, or they're going to have really high damage output where they're just nuking one unit at a time. You can see the boss here, just put the ignore defense on the boss. And if you're watching this to tune in your Giants team to make it faster, then you probably already know that you need these kind of stats, you know what I mean? So I was just showcasing what I use. This is about a 50-second comp. It's really fast. You kill everything before it even gets a chance to move. So that's basically it. Let's move on to the runes. So the first monster, Galleon, these are his stats. You can pause the video at any time. I'm just going to go over it real quick because I have 3 dungeons. It's going to be a long video. So I'm going to showcase the runes, showcase the stats, and then if you want to look at the units, then feel free to just pause and check it out. As you can see, Shannon literally just has leftover runes. She's just holding runes, so don't mind her. Same with Amin. But yeah, so ideally when you're going to first start off, you're going to see a lot of my units, they have Violent on them. But the free-to-play comps that I recommended, of course you're not going to have Violent, right? Especially now that Violent isn't available in scenarios. So disregard that. The sets you're going to want to be going for in Giants, if you're just starting off, is going to be Swift and Despair. Preferably Swift, just because it just works better for you. In a PvE sense, it's more consistent damage, more consistent turns. Despair is going to help you in TOA a bit, but I feel that you're going to get the most immediate bang out of your buck if you use Swift, because it guarantees you plus 25 speed, right? And whereas Despair won't really help you against the boss, since the boss can't be stunned, and even when you're hitting the pre-boss adds, you're not going to be able to guarantee a stun on a unit, right? So I prefer just get speed up there, get your units faster, and that's pretty much it for Giants. So you're going to farm that for a bit, and you're going to get some runes, you're going to get decently stats, and then you're going to move on to Dragons. So the first team that I want to go over is a comp that goes for the left tower, and then the right tower, and then the boss. And then the next comp after that, I'll go for the right tower and then the boss. And then for the third comp, I'll go straight for the face and just kill the boss without touching the towers. And again, I'm going to use Amin, who doesn't have any runes, just because I want to showcase to you guys how you can do this with pretty much. This is a free-to-play comp. Regardless if you think that they're not obtainable or they're obtainable but not free-to-play, whatever's. If there's any comp that you can get that's next to free to play, it's gonna be this one, okay? So mechanics for this boss is pretty much the one you're gonna be worrying about is the mini boss, where the mini boss has the Zyros cooldown and dots, and then you're gonna have to worry about the main boss, where the left tower applies dots, the right tower applies immunity and cleanses the boss, and the boss who gets stronger as he gets his HP lowered, right? He does more damage and he's faster the more damage that you do to him. So here we're approaching the mini boss Zyros. You're gonna see the skill reset. And again, when you first start off with this comp, it's almost guaranteed that you're gonna have to start off with Swift runes on your units, because you're not going to have those Violent and Revenge runes that you're going to end up using later on in faster comps, solely because you haven't obtained them unless you've bought rune packs, or if you just got really lucky and all the runes that show up in the shop are Violent runes. You're probably going to have Swift runes and Despair runes, so, and even energy runes, right, on Darien and Amin. And again, you want to focus on those stat requirements. So when you get to Dragons, it's a slightly harder dungeon, so you're going to want to start incorporating higher standards for stats, and there's a higher HP threshold, higher speed threshold. So as far as HP goes, when you first start off, I pretty much guarantee you're gonna want at least 20,000 HP. Some people get in here with 18,000, 17,000 HP Veramoses, 15k. It's probably not gonna cut it here, right? So you want to get that, and you want to get at least about 65 speed. That's gonna guarantee that you're gonna get enough turns in when you're using other comps with like Verd and stuff. So 20,000 HP plus 65 speed is a nice goal to try for, and it should be obtainable with Swift runes that you got from Giants, right? So as you can see, the left tower, the thing about the boss is when you kill a tower, the boss counterattacks, and that counterattack does a lot of damage. As you can see, my Veramos tank that hit from the dragon. This is because I have a lot of HP and a lot of defense on my Veramos. Most people aren't going to survive this. So when you first start doing your dragons runs, what I did this, and I know a lot of people who first started do this as well, is sometimes when you get within killing range of a tower, you might have to manual it, and there's nothing wrong with that until you get the runes that you need. So like I said, sometimes you're gonna get within one hit of killing a tower, and say it's with your Bella. Your Bella is your main healer, and you don't want Bella to die. Maybe you just you stop it, you manual it, you heal up for a second instead of hitting that tower down, and you let the dots take care of it, okay? Or even switch targets. You can switch to the next target. And that's kind of the crappy thing about using a dot comp like this, where you go for the left tower and the right tower and the boss, is there's a high potential of you getting counterattacked, and if your unit that kills it doesn't have the stats to back it up, it might get killed. So going for the face is actually way safer than going for the towers. There's a higher chance that you might get killed by the dragon just from counterattacks, right? So basically, I say start off with this comp so you can get your team up and rolling, get your runes that you need, and then as you feel that your units have the stats that you actually need, you can go ahead and move on to a similar comp. You're still using dots from the Veramos, you're still using dots from the Beretta, but now you're bringing a little more heal, a little more tank, and you're going for the right tower instead of the boss. Not only is this comp faster because you're going for one less tower, but it's a lot safer because instead you move towards killing only one tower, right? And your units are going to be able to back yourself up. And I know this isn't an obtainable team, right? We have Chasun and we have Briand in here, but I feel like you can use, if you wanted to, you could use another healer instead of Chasun. Chasun's not required by any means. You can use Konamiya as a free-to-play healer. You can use Amen again, right? And then Brienne is a backup. You can use Mykeen, the Water Undying. She's free-to-play. And you can use Michelle, the Wind Epicon Priest. And basically, again, going back to roles, the dungeon isn't about like you need a Brienne or you need a Chasun. It's you need the role, you need that extra healer, and you need a reviver. And the reviver is there because sometimes you kill that right tower, and maybe it's with your Veramos, and your Veramos is the one who's protecting your team from getting dotted down by the boss, right? And once he dies, then everyone just gets debuffed and dots, and they're just all dying all over the place. So if you have that reviver in there, what it does is your Veramos gets popped and you just revive him, and then you're good to go again. Your Bella heals everyone up, or your secondary healer in the Chasun spot is gonna heal everyone up, and then you're good to go, and you just bang it out, right? And you really want to take down that second tower, the immunity tower, because with a dot comp you have a lot of dots that you want to put on, and without being able to apply it because of the fact that there's immunity there, it's gonna really slow down your team. So as soon as you get rid of that tower, you can put on the glancing hit, you can put on the attack break, you can put on the dots, you can reset the attack bar, all that good stuff. So as you can see, majority of the time your units are gonna get it down by dots. You have enough daughters in the form of Beretta, and Vermos. Right? So that's what's happening right there. And if you watch closely, Beretta lays down the dots and Chasun heals up real nicely. We're getting in kill range again. If you're watching your dragons run and you see that your units are getting really close to dying, then just go ahead and pause it, let the dots do the work, and then resume it. Maybe change targets or whatever, right? And then from here, we don't really care about that other tower because the dots aren't going to apply dots fast enough. Your Vermos is at the correct speed that we wanted, that plus 65 or more speed, and he's going to be removing the dots as soon as they're put on, so we're not too worried about that. And then we can just go straight for the boss, and then the dots are going to help speed it up. And in this case, we didn't actually have to use Brian. No one actually died, but it is safe in the fact that if someone did get popped from the counter attack, then you have, you know, something to back it up, and you can get the ball rolling again if something goes badly wrong, right? So that's pretty much it. This is going to be a team that a lot of people use probably for a good month or so until they're ready to do a face comp, which is what's coming up next. Alright, so the next team I'm going to use is a team that I currently use, and I've been using it for a long time, probably about 6 months now, and I don't take credit for this team. I got this team from my buddy Corrosive. Shout out to him for getting Legend last week, and he basically recommended this to me when I was probably like a Fighter 3 or Conqueror 1 player, and I asked him, I was like, yo, can you show me a Dragons team where I can go face? And he's like, yeah, check this team out. I don't ever fail with this, and it's relatively fast. Takes about 2 to 3 minutes, more around like 2.5 minutes. And yeah, I pretty much have been using it since. It doesn't fail. My Megan, she can be 5-star. I haven't really upgraded her, and she's not ruined for this purpose. She's actually ruined for PvP. She's in the speed range that allows me to buff the rest of my team and get a turn faster than a Chloe. Like if I'm using Bernard, Megan, and Doublelution, I can move before the Chloe using this Megan. So again, she's not really ruined for this purpose, but she does her job fine. Her HP is on the lower side, but I think my towers make up for it. And this isn't going to be the fastest team like my guildmate Barian, who does 50 seconds, but it is relatively consistent. I haven't lost in a while. It is decently fast, right? I think anything under 3 minutes for a Dragon's run is considered decently fast. So this is around the range that you're going to want to be farming in if it's consistent. I don't recommend you going for, okay, there's a fail, I didn't set the attack to the boss. But anyways, yeah, it's relatively fast and it gets the job done. And this is what about the pace that you want to be farming dragons at, where you can just put your phone on the side, you can do something else, and you know it's not going to fail. And pretty much when you get to this stage, if you can do this, you're probably at the stage where you don't even need Sigmaris and Megan. Verd, Vermos, and Bella can probably just take out the boss by themselves, because I've done 3-man dragon runs and it's relatively easy. It's just Megan and Sigmaris, they help speed it up in the fact that Megan has the attack buff and she removes more buffs on the boss, like the immunity. And then Sig, of course, does HP based damage for the boss, and he deals a lot of damage on his auto attack. So that's pretty much what Sigmaris and Megan are there for. But Bella, Verd, and Vermos are really the core of this team, and pretty much any Dragons team. And I'm sorry if you guys don't have Verd, but it's what I use and a lot of people use, so good luck to those that don't have Verd and are trying to get it, because it'll really help speed up your Dragons runs. if you're currently using like a dot team and not going face. So again, we're just going to go over the runes. If you want to look at them individually, just pause the video. It's going to be too long for me to go in depth about why I chose the rune sets, but standard attacker runes for my damage based dealers, and just the standard rune sets of speed, HP, or speed, HP, defense, whatever works on that unit. Some of them are built for TOA, but again, feel free to pause the video at any time, check out the units, and then we'll move on to Necro after this. I didn't realize this video was going to be that long. I pre-recorded this and like right before this, and now I have to rewatch it. And these are my embarrassing Amen runes. Again, he's holding runes for everybody. So he doesn't even have 100 crit rate, and that's not what I'm going for. He's just a rune storage monster, but he got the job done, right? And just a review on dragons, the threshold you want to hit is 20,000 HP and plus 65 speed on all your units. Verd can be about 15k if you're doing a semi-speed comp like the one I was using. Okay, next up for Necro, I don't actually have a completely free-to-play comp for you to use, or I don't have the units for it because I currently use a faster one, and there's no reason for me to build a free-to-play comp. But my initial team was with this setup with Sierra, Hua, Bella, Colleen, and Lynette, the Dark Magic Knight. And I don't believe she's runed up right now, so I can't show you that anymore. But I had initially made a video of me using that team and it worked really well. And the odd thing about it is I had Nat 5s and harder to obtain units in that one than my current setup, which I've been using. And this one, again, it's not free to play or obtainable because I have Hua and what's her face, Shihua, and the Fire Elf Ranger, Elf Knight, something, Elf Archer, whatever her name is. But this is a team that's really consistent for me. I just pulled Escher the other day from the Light Dark Scroll, and before that I was using Bella. I actually prefer using Bella. I prefer using Escher even though we don't have the armor break because of the built-in multi-hit and because of the speed buff. So instead of trying to go over 3 different comps or whatever, I'm just going to talk about, again, roles and the mechanics of the dungeon. The way that Necro works is the pre-ads pretty much, they're nothing worth mentioning except for the Dark Lich. If you kill a whole bunch of units, then he gets stronger and he takes about half the damage coming in, whatever damage you do to him. Okay, but for the boss has a shield that's about 7 turns. It's opposite of the dragon, right? So it has a shield and you can't hit him for 7 turns, and then after not 7 turns but 7 hits, once you clear the 7 hits off the boss, then when you don't do the 7 hits, you're just hitting a shield and you're not doing any damage. Once you clear the shield, the rest of your units can move in and deal damage. So as you can see, you only have 5 units that you can bring, right? So if you don't have any multi-hits in, then there's no way that your units are going to be able to penetrate the shield and get a turn in, right? Unless you had 7 units. So the only other way is to have a multi-hit skill, meaning you have more than one hit. Whenever you attack, you have more than one hit on that particular skill. So ideally, what you're going to want to do is bring units that have violent revenge, which means that whenever it attacks you, you're going to be able to attack back, which therefore reduces the counter on the shield and allows you a quicker time and more turns to get into attack. The next thing you wanna bring in is you wanna have a slow. So that's where my Hua comes in, and the boss has a passive on his skill that says it limits the speed of all units to 100. So it pretty much, to simplify it, what it means is your units only get one turn per his turn if you don't have any like violent runes, revenge runes, etc. So what works here is speed slow and speed buff. So you can either buff your speed, or you can debuff his speed by making him slower, right? And that allows you to get in approximately 2 turns if you slow him. So you're going to want to get Hua to slow immediately. And what this generally means is you want to get your Hua as slow as possible, slower than the rest of your team, so that once that first initial wave clears the shield down, then you can just get in with that first hit and slow him immediately, and that's going to really take a toll on the boss, because then you can get in more turns, you're going to break down the shield faster, you're going to get twice as much turns, right? So you can break down the shield in a couple hits, and then hopefully you can keep the slow on him for a long time. And you're going to want to have heal block, which is what you see right there. I blocked him from healing because he heals up every turn. And he revives, but he only revives how much where that red bar is. So as you're hitting him, it's basically like a destroy rune. And you also want to have an attack break, and a luxury debuff is Shihua's branding, which can help you break down the enemy's HP faster, right? And then of course dots always help with the bosses. So that's the reason why I prefer Escher, is he gives us speed buff, whereas Bella just gives an attack bar boost, and you can't use attack bar boost type of skills here. And that's pretty much it for my Necro team. As you can see, my Colleen is only level 35, but she has the stats. Again, you want to use similar stats to dragons, where it's about high 15 to 20k HP, and the speeds, you want to have your speeds lined up so that the guys you don't really care about debuffing go first, and then the more important debuffers go last, so that they get that initial debuff from the beginning, such as Hua with the slow. And basically the roles, again, you're going to have an attack debuffer, you're going to have a healing block, you're going to have a slow, and then you're going to want to have the rest of them as multi-hits or healers. And that's really just going to help you get the boss's shield down. So that's pretty much it. I'm sorry I couldn't help you guys more with Necro teams. It should work for you guys if you apply the same type of units. I'm kind of in a rush here. This video is going on pretty long, but I just wanted to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are interested in joining my guild, go ahead and shoot me a PM either online or on my email. Alright, thanks guys, peace.